I love cycling. I used to race, triathlons, road, mountain bikes, and I've lived in cities for most of my life. Cities where bicycles of one sort or another serve as everyday practical transportation. And of course I motorcycle as well. And the vehicles that best combine the world of motorcycling and bicycling are e-bikes, and I've reviewed some on this channel. These are great as they open up bicycling to many people who, due to age or health-related reasons, would not be able to get out on two wheels. They also allow city commuters to move around quickly and without getting sweaty when they head to work. However, the problem with a lot of e-bicycles is that they tend to be large, some as large as motorcycles. And if you live in a city and want to keep yours safe from thieves, you had better keep it in your apartment. And these things can take up a lot of space. But what if you had an e-bike that goes as fast as the big bikes and still has the fat tires for off-roading and solid handling, at half the price? Oh yeah, and it can fold up and tuck away into a corner or in the hatch of your car. HiPeak sent me the HiPeak Bona folding bike to test out, and I have to say I'm impressed not only by the compactness and performance of this machine but also by the value, which is between $9.5 and $1,100 American dollars or your local currency equivalent. So if you want a $1,000 do-it-all machine that can get you to work, shopping, or out for a weekend cruise, stay tuned because you get a lot of bike for shockingly little money with HiPeak. If you've seen my videos on e-bikes before, you know my views on electric motorcycles. The big powerful ones like the Livewire and Zeros are still a developing technology because they are very expensive and lack the necessary infrastructure in many places to be practical. E-motorcycles don't have the range of electric cars, which makes it hard to go out in the country for a rip. Powerful bikes are meant for fun and recreation, which is hard to enjoy when you have range anxiety. A much more successful use for the electric motor on two wheels are e-bicycles, which have far more useful applications. They can be quickly charged in your residence from a wall socket and don't need tremendous range to get you to work or your local supermarket. And these are the kinds of uses that the HiPeak Bona was built for. This is by far the most practical e-bike I've ever tested, and that is due to several features, the first being its smaller size and lightness. Because of its smaller 20-inch wheels, the bike takes up less space than the larger machines. Additionally, at only 62 pounds, it's lighter and easier to control than the bigger bikes, and due to this lower weight, this is the first e-bicycle I've tested that was somewhat easy to pedal without pedal assist. So if you run out of juice on the way home from a long ride, it won't be the end of the world. And of course it folds. Okay, folding the HiPeak is a three-part process. So first I'm going to put up the side stand. I'm going to drop down the saddle. Just let it drop down, make it as compact as possible. Then I'm going to drop the handlebar, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press the button. There's a button on this side. I'm just going to press it, open that up, whoops, open that, and this is going to fold down nicely and rest against the fork. Now notice that the rubber part is resting against the fork, so you're not going to scratch up the fork. And the final step is you open this little coupler here and you pull that out, and the bike opens up like that. You fold it up in here, and there the bike is folded. Now notice also that it has a nice little stand down here for it to rest on, so it's not resting on the chainring, it's resting on the little stand down there. So not only can it be put into a corner of a small city apartment, but can also be tucked away in your city office if you use it to commute to work. And if you want to take it with you on a longer trip, it can fit in the trunk of a regular sized hatchback. So now, depending on the kind of car you have, it might fit in the trunk, it might fit in the hatch, or if you got a truck and you can put the seats up, it just kind of shoves right in here, and boom, your bike is in the back of your car, no problem. So compactness is perhaps this bicycle's biggest strength. Additionally though, it has a lot of versatile features. One of these is speed. The HiPeak Bona has a 48-volt, 15 amp-hour battery coupled with a 750-watt hub motor which allows it to cruise at 38 to 39 km per hour, essentially the same speed that many of the larger e-bikes with the big wheels top out at. On the flat, the bike chugs along with 7 levels of pedal assist or on throttle and displays decent power. One place where it lags behind the bigger bikes is in climbing, as steeper hills require you to pedal a bit harder. Still, as long as you're willing to put down a bit of power, the HiPeak will get you up some fairly steep inclines. The other place where a smaller bike can't quite compete is in range, and that is due to the smaller 15 amp-hour battery. I weigh about 180 pounds or 82 kilos, and the big-wheeled bikes with their 18 or 20 amp-hour batteries carried me over 60 miles or 100 kilometers on some of the mid-pedal assist settings. This 15 amp-hour battery took me 65 kilometers on pedal assist 4 with me pedaling a decent amount. On throttle only, I found that I could get about 35 kilometers of riding on flat paved roads and trails. Both of these distances are more than adequate to get around most cities. The battery can be charged on or off the bike, and battery removal is easy. So on this side you have the key. You simply put the key in here, turn it, and the battery comes out just like this. Just pops right out like that, and you can take it inside and charge it. And if you don't want anyone stealing it, of course, you lock it to the bike. And the final thing about the battery here is when you turn it on, you can check the charge right down here. So when I press this button, you can see it is almost fully charged up. It's got 3 green lights and 1 red one, so it could use a little extra charge, but you can check that when the battery is on, and when it's off you cannot check that, the lights are not on. Now, due to this being a folding bike, I expected the Bona to handle more on the twitchy side, as these smaller wheeled bikes tend to do, but here I was pleasantly surprised. No, the Bona is not as stable as big wheeled bicycles which can weigh 20 or 30 pounds more, but it is quite steady nevertheless and holds a line well in a turn. The frame is stiff without any hint of flex. I did try the bike both off-road and on beach sand, and it chugged through everything I pointed it at without a problem. The fork is basic but has good bump absorption and a nice lockout feature for less pogoing on smooth roads. The lights on the HiPeak Bona are basic but work well and can be turned on and off by holding down the plus button on the controller. I particularly like that the rear light can be on and still get brighter when the brakes are applied to warn traffic that you're slowing down. I appreciated the rack, which is equipped with a rubber band to hold down items. As well, my touring bags fit perfectly on the rails, and I use them for carrying various items as well as shopping. And you can see when I throw this on here, it clicks right on and it's not coming off. I also found the minimalist bell pretty interesting, though it was a bit quiet, and honestly I'd add a cheap louder bell from Amazon so I could be heard from a longer distance. With the speeds these bikes are capable of, it's a good idea to give people and cars a heads up as you're coming up, even from far away. The seating position on the HiPeak Bona is very upright with the handlebars narrow and straight up. I'm 6 feet or 182 centimeters tall, and my wife Brooke stands 5'7" or 170 centimeters, and we were both able to get a good fit. Any rider taller than I am should consider a taller seat post in order to get proper leg extension. My 33-inch inseam had the post extended to the limit. Generally, the seating position is comfortable and compact for slipping through city traffic, and I also found the saddle all day comfortable, though this is a very subjective thing for every rider. Now, so far I've been very complimentary of this bike, but there are things that I would improve about the design. The power delivery could use some refining. The throttle starts off softly and builds speed slowly until it reaches full power. Good if you don't like surprises, but not if you want to take off fast. There's a slight delay which makes you hesitate to slip through that gap in traffic. Additionally, pedal assist works well, but when you stop pedaling, the power persists for about a second before it cuts off. A touch of the brakes works well in this situation, as engaging the brakes cuts the power automatically. Also, due to this bicycle's lower price, it comes with mechanical disc brakes rather than hydraulic. This is less of an impediment than on the heavier big-wheeled bikes, as they have more mass and more rotational momentum to stop, but more power from the rear brake would have been appreciated. The front worked well and stopped the HiPeak effectively, but the rear was weak and squishy. Another small thing is the display on the handlebar. I've seen nicer displays, but to be fair, they were on far more expensive bicycles. It's a nitpicky thing and the display works perfectly well, as do all of its functions except for one that I found annoying. The trip meter reset automatically every time I turned off the bike. Sometimes when you're on a longer ride, you may want to have a break and turn off the bike for a while. It would be nice if the trip meter didn't reset automatically so that you could measure your entire trip. The last nitpick is about the pedals. On a folding bike, the pedals should fold as well to make it narrower, but these don't. You can easily replace them with a cheap pair from Amazon if you want this feature. So you can get this bicycle in the United States through Amazon by using the link in the description. Depending on the color, this bike will cost you between $950 and $1,050. If you live outside the US, this bicycle is available on the HiPeak website for the equivalent of $1,300 but you get $200 off if you use the promo code in the description below. Realistically, in many cities, you could commute on it every day for considerably less than the cost of a year of public transit. That's quite preferable to being squished in a tube with 1,000 strangers. And if your work is cool, you may be allowed to fold your HiPeak and store it in the corner of your office while you work. I used to commute to work by bicycle and can confirm that riding home was a great way to unwind from the stresses of the day and get some exercise at the same time. Many cities are growing their cycling infrastructure, and bikes like the HiPeak Bona are selling like mad, and no wonder. They are extremely practical, very affordable, and don't require a motorcycle license. So that's the reason why you see so many e-bikes on city streets these days. They can legally go on trails and bike paths where motor vehicles are not allowed. They can be operated by people without a driver's license, require little maintenance, make great shopping in commuter vehicles, go off-road, fit in the back of a small crossover, and charge almost for free from your wall socket while safely tucked away in the nook of a small city apartment. Yep, in terms of practicality, the folding bike beats bigger cycles due to its lighter weight and compactness. So if you're interested in one of these, please check out the links in the description and tell me in the comments below if you would prefer one of these to commuting on a motorcycle or a scooter, and why. There are so many great two-wheeled options out there that I'm surprised that people still take cars, or public transit for that matter. E-bikes have definitely won me over more than e-motorcycles. Thanks for watching and ride safe.